Soviet Social Republics. And they'd say, oh, but aren't you so glad that you're in America? I said, well, I know a lot of Russian filmmakers. They have a lot more freedom than I have. All they have to do is be careful about criticizing the government.
Good morning to most, good afternoon to others, and good evening to the viewing audience across the pond. My name is J.Myles. I've just been set up. Oh, it happens. I feel like sometimes other shows try to maybe they'll just cancel and say something happened. I don't know what happened to Chris. I know that he was at Aftershock Festival yesterday, and Slayer was there, and Pantera was there. So I'm going to assume that, dudes hung out, had a dudes hanging out, haven't seen each other in a while, kind of fun time. And for some people, it was Slayer's first show they saw. I think when did Slayer say they quit? Like 5-6 years ago? They officially retired, and now they've come back to do a handful of these festivals. I don't know if they have a whole tour planned. I don't check that close with the comings and goings of bands, but guest ghosting, as they call it. Yeah, that's the new ghosting. I wouldn't call it ghosting. Let's just call it what it is. It's flaking. It's flaking. It's not like I can't call him and he won't ever talk to me again. I'll try to hide if he sees me in a coffee shop or something. I just, I had a feeling. We talked on Thursday, we talked. So I was like, oh, don't let this happen. So let me talk to him. So we talked. Everything was cool. And then I saw pictures on his social media of him at Aftershock. I was like, oh, I don't know if someone's going to make that morning call. So that kind of pissed me off a little bit. How famous do you have to be where people always do? Can't miss this call. Definitely not famous enough for someone to think like that. Good shit. I'm no Jimmy Dore. I think he'd flake on Jimmy Dore too. Not even for political reasons. He just has no idea who the fuck that guy is. So how are you guys doing today? I would love to do a call-in show. If I put the phone number on the screen, you guys can call in. If not, I'll just fucking hang up. It's early for me. I'd like to go to sleep too. What's it like to sleep on a Saturday? I don't know. No, Dizzle. I'm not even in a funny mood to even entertain the comedy, as I see a little bit of it in my eye. But yeah, if I put the phone number on the screen, you guys want to call in and vent. I feel like with an election looming, and if you're watching this show, you watch a lot of political commentary shows. So I'm sure there's a lot of venting you guys would like to do. I'd like to sit here and listen to you vent. Just be an ear, and then look at the screen like this. Same face I make when next thing people are bitching at me. Oh, ooh, see, mm, 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 por supuesto. Listen, yeah, of course. Um, Newer Yanks says I literally came into Jason saying I'm not Jimmy Dore. No, I'm not. Not. I don't think you could confuse us. Maybe you could. I have not heard the new Cure album, by the way. I saw the clip that they played like last week or earlier this week for the new single. Dizzle, you want to call in and bitch about the election? I don't give a shit. I don't give a shit if you guys want to call in and bitch about Libby shit like that. Don't give a damn. Don't give a good goddamn. Let's do it. I'm here for it. I just want you guys to have a place today to vent your frustrations. Because I can sit here and be frustrated. I don't want to be frustrated. I want to console all of you in your frustrations. So let's do that. That sounds like fun. Should I get the phone lines up? If you guys say yes, I'll put the phone lines up. Someone says I'm safe in Mexico. I feel like people complain about politics here the exact same way people complain about politics back home, where they act like they think they know a lot, but they really don't know that much. Yes, Nuri, the guest did not show up. You have to rewind. If you're going to come in here late, because I was on time. Technically, I was on time. I've been here for a long time. I've been sitting here for an hour. You guys don't know that. But yeah. I'm supposed to do this thing. Here, I'll start it off. This okay, tell me if you guys want to call in. I'll start it off with something that's been irritating the shit out of me. So not next week, but the week after that, I believe. Let's say the 12th. So in 10 days, I'll be in Los Angeles, California, with my neighbor and good friend Ben Burgess, who I was out with yesterday. We were bitching about this yesterday a little bit. As I'm writing this really cool thing about hair metal, I'm really stoked for you guys to read it. But he wanted Anna on the panel, and I guess she's a controversial figure in this world, and this world is really interesting to me that we're in. When I mean this world, I mean like this like podcasting world, because there's an industry around talking shit about other people in your arena. And that's weird to me because that's not that's not anything left. Like you can't call yourself left. You can't call yourself political at that point. At that point, it's just gossip. It's just bullshit gossip. And I was watching, it's really good. So to give you guys I signed the deal with Means TV, and they have all the old video essays. That's why we took them down. And we're doing kayfabe in parts. It's not a full feature length. And I just finished my narration for part 1 and 2, and we did a whole new thing for part 1. We added this whole new part. We added this whole new intro for part 2 that includes like Scott Peterson and all this other stuff. I think I hope you guys find interesting and compelling. I'm very excited to see what you guys say about that. But as I'm doing that, and I'm kind of getting back into watching wrestling documentaries and reading about wrestling. There's actually some really interesting academic papers about wrestling and this idea of kayfabe, which really helped in the script writing for this. But there's a really good doc that came out this year called "What Killed the WCW." If you guys don't remember, that was the competitor to WWF at the time. I think they were still WWF. And they were always real small. At first, they were like on ESPN and stuff, or no, they were always on TBS. But they were so small, they used to do their wrestling out of a mall. And they would have to like black out areas because they couldn't fill arenas. It was really small time wrestling. But they changed stuff up. They decided to go live. It was really, really interesting thing to watch because there's the guy that started it was not from a wrestling family like most people that start wrestling promotions. It's there's usually a lineage in that stuff. Vince McMahon's father had a very large wrestling promotion, and he inherited when his dad died in like '84, I believe. So anyway, Eric Bischoff is his name, and he kind of just gets this job of running the wrestling thing that Ted Turner for Turner Broadcasting TBS. Ted Turner was a big wrestling fan, actually. So anyway, I'm not going to get into the ins and outs of it, but check the documentary out. It's like 4 parts, really, really good. Hulk Hogan isn't in it because they do blame a lot of the fall of that league on Hulk Hogan. But what's interesting is in wrestling, what some people didn't understand when like new writers would come in, excuse me, is the soap opera aspect of it that people love. And in watching things like a soap opera or even going back to like 90s talk shows where this was really big. I don't know if there's talk shows like the way there was in the 90s, right? Jerry Springer and Ricky Lake and Jenny Jones and of course Geraldo, where once you get to Jerry Springer, then everybody had to have a surprise. What's going to be the unveiling thing that's going to make the crowd start screaming and yelling? And generally was going to be like, I'm not a woman, I'm a man, or I'm also fucking your mom, the kind of thing. Um, almost you could almost look at it as like a heel turn, right? Because soap operas always do that, right? Uh, Luke Perry fucked everybody in the crew, right? Dylan fucked the whole crew. How mad was Andrea that she couldn't get laid, right? Dylan was just handing out dick. New chicks come on the show. Dylan's got to hand out some dick. Sorry, Steve. Nobody wants to fuck that weird afro you got there, Ian. I got this James Dean shit going at 34, you know, like all the other 34-year-old high school sophomores. And I'm fucking laying pipe throughout Beverly Hills. Not even throughout the city, just the neighborhood where these people live that are my friends, because I'm fucking all of them. Right? There's always there's that drama. That's what we tune in for. We tune in to see who's Dylan fucking this week. Is he gonna fuck Kelly? Is he gonna fuck Brenda? Is he gonna make those chicks fight? They're best friends, Dylan. How dare you? Why were we so okay with that? And for those of you that don't know, I'm talking about Beverly Hills 90210, not that 2000s 90210. Oh no. I'm talking about the 90s. I took a ton of screenshots of 90210 stills and have made some of them thumbnails. Apparently, you people don't like them. I don't give a shit. I'm still going to do it because I find it fun. But anyway, the heat that there's always like, it's like M. Night Shyamalan. Anomalan. Heel turn. Oh no. So, um, so there's these kids have like an industry. I shouldn't say they have it. There can be an industry based off your hate of certain people, right? Your hate of Democrats, your hate of what you think are right leaning podcast figures, your hate on left podcast figures, and this is the whole thing. Just so and so said this, and I brought these cats up before, and they get me every time with their fucking thumbnails. I don't know why I watch this bullshit. I don't know why. I do know why. Because I like wrestling and shitty soap operas and movies with ninjas that have ninja stars that are also hypnotizing yo-yos. I'm a ridiculous person where shiny things get my attention. I'm just like everybody else watching this shit. Shiny things get my attention, right? We were in downtown Tijuana last night. Me and Ben were walking around, and sometimes they close off the streets and have like these events. And the other night they had some event for the elderly. Apparently, it was really kind of cool. Where like old people were in the street like dancing and shit. Um, and then there was this massive 2-story carousel. Is that what you call it? Where you ride on the little fake horses and it's white and they're really big. Think the opening scene in The Lost Boys, but it's 2 levels. And I was just staring. I was like, "Oh, that's so cool." But it's just shiny. It's not really that cool. It doesn't go that fast. Shiny things, right? Get my attention. So these cats always have a thumbnail like, "So and so destroys so and so." Oh fuck! What the? I want to see the destruction. Here's the proof of Anna Kasparian's right wing turn. I was like, oh wow. And as I'm watching this, I'm thinking to myself, and I don't talk to Anna very often. Um, I met her at the LA live show. Like I said, nice lady. Um, but what's interesting to me is this idea of a heel turn and the ease of it. And then these kids took a clip of Anna and Michael Brooks talking, a conversation a lot of us have had kind of behind the scenes, and they're having this on-air conversation of how easy it would be to kind of call up a right-wing place. Let's say the Daily Caller. Is that what it is? I always get the Beast Caller and the Mail all mixed up. But whatever one that Ben Shapiro has, and be like, "Hey, I'm making a turn. Let's do this." If that is the case, if one thinks it's that easy, first and foremost, then this is all just pro wrestling to you. This is all just a soap opera to you. This is just Dylan fucking everybody in the crew and no one really having a big problem with that. Right? This is just not real life anymore. Because that's not how life works. And then people point to this somebody like Dave Rubin, and it's like, well, why did you think Dave Rubin was that far left in the first place? Like, what the fuck did he say or do that made you think that he was on the team? Right? There's a lot of people that when you see like, I don't really think you're on the team. And ultimately, we're talking about media figures here. We're not talking about politicians. We're not even talking about academics. We're talking about media figures. Media figures. A lot of people get into news because they couldn't get into acting. They're all the failed actors. I feel like most people know that. Watch this kind of show. And if you didn't, now you do. So this idea that a person that reads information, remember, reads information, is making some sort of heel turn is insane to me. Especially because, the chick's never left her job. It's not like she hopped over to Fox News, and it's not like Fox News offered her a fucking job. And it's not like you can just do that. Again, we joke, oh, it'd be so easy for me to do this, that, and the third, and blah, 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 blah. No, not necessarily. Sometimes people just might not like you. There's that. Well, what about Angela Nagel? And what about maybe those people were already somewhat conservative? Read their work. Just people love, what's the guy's name that wrote Thomas Frank, Listen Liberal? Dude was like a lifelong conservative. That doesn't mean that book is wrong. It's just I know who the fuck Thomas Frank is. No one talks about his turn, his lib turn. Because sometimes people's views change, they mature. Now, I don't say this as an endorsement on anything. I don't know everything Anna Gasparian has said. She could have called me the N word 15 times on air. I wouldn't know. I hope not. That'd be really fucked up. But I don't follow it. But I do follow these dudes that have made a living out of hating on this woman. Because at this point, I just find it funny. Like, they're really into it. Like, they're invested so much in this idea of a heel turn. Oh, gotta love it. I love it. Because it really is like when Hulk Hogan became a bad guy with the WCW. Remember that? Hollywood Hogan? That was Hulk Hogan was the ultimate good guy. I am a real American. Remember that? Where he's sitting there pretending like he's playing the guitar. Hulk Hogan is like peak Cold War US propaganda good guy. Say your prayers, eat your vitamins. That's Hulk Hogan. In the 90s, you know, Cold War's over. That shit we don't care anymore. It's all about anti-heroes. And you get the New World Order. Hollywood Hogan. Everybody's a bad guy. No more of this. The characters era is over. It's the attitude era. And to think that there's like an attitude era of this work is even more hilarious. If you want to say she's making a right wing turn, don't, because that's ridiculous. Keep it real. Let's keep it wrestling. Be like, oh, this is just her attitude era. Hollywood Hogan. Again, I don't watch the show. I don't know. I'm gonna see her in 10 days. We'll see. We'll see how right wing she is. If she comes in a pantsuit, maybe then I'll believe the turn is real. But other than that, like, no, dude, I don't. Hell no, dude. It's not a turn. Like, to believe that is insane. It's just not that easy. I couldn't today go, okay, there's no money in doing what I like doing, so I'm just gonna lie and say real fucked up stuff. I'm gonna just speak about respectability politics and colored folks and the invasion at the border. So this work for 5 years that you've publicly seen, all the music that I've done, all that's been a lie. So like the last, I don't know, 20 years of my life, publicly, that people could see publicly, just kind of a lie. The real me is out now. And I hate N words, and women need to get the fuck back in the kitchen and please ask permission to speak. Definitely beat the shit out of your children. I don't know, whatever the fuck these people say. Trans people aren't real. They're just imaginary. They're imaginary women. They're the snuffleupagus of women. And then I can do a whole like video essay on that. I don't know if I'd be very successful. I don't know if right wingers would dig me. First of all, I have to deal with the fact that all you guys would leave. That's going to hurt. And hope that in 5 days, I could build up what it took 5 years It's hard. I don't get a salary. You know what I mean? Fox News ain't hiring me anytime soon. The Daily, whatever they're called, Ben Shapiro's crew ain't hiring me anytime soon. Anytime soon. So there's that. And I don't know where you apply for your right wing. There has to be somewhere to apply, right? Do I just send a message to Matt Walsh? Hey, Maddie, colored commentator over here. I'm wondering how much you guys are paying for a right wing turn. No? Yeah, I don't, it's not. It's not that easy. Because if it was, people would do it. And I say that because we are in a business to make money. No one's volunteering their actually the people on this show volunteer their time. But seriously, like the people that run the shows, they're look at the topics. They follow where the clicks go, right? Everybody wants to talk about Kamala Harris. Well, here we're talking about Kamala Harris. Everybody wants to talk about Palestine. We're going to talk about Palestine. If the border is the issue, we're going to talk about the border. When was the last time somebody's talked about the fucking border? It's not like that isn't an issue. It's a real issue. But now that, we're not seeing the images of children in dog kennels, I guess it's not really an issue. Or it's not as big of an issue as people think. Or they just don't know what it looks like because they just don't care. I don't know. But my friends in the legal field are extremely busy with asylum cases. That shit didn't go away. But it's not who wants time. It's election time. This is where I make my Christmas money. I'm gonna go on a vacation to the Bahamas. I don't know, I made that part up, but still. If there was a way where you could just flip a switch, and I'm gonna make triple what I make, fuck yeah. Integrity, schmegrity. If it was that easy, people would do it. These cats that talk about that woman, that talk about Anna Kasparian, have made up where she lives. They've made up what kind of car she drives. That's my favorite part. Like, wow. I get she had a Prius. Wasn't a new one. Did she turn it in for the new Tesla Cybertruck? I don't know. Maybe. I haven't seen her in a couple of years. I don't think so. But damn, man. Making up where people live just to fit your fucking kayfabe ass narrative of a fucking heel turn that those things aren't real. If you don't like somebody's politics, that's cool. There's a lot of shit people disagree with me on this show about, even the people that are on this show. I get that. The last Saturday show, Pascal and Kuba had a disagreement. These things happen, right? That's fine. But Kuba's a comrade. He's a homie. He's not, there's no mask off moment where it's Scooby Doo. And if you think everything is Scooby Doo, pro wrestling, and fucking soap operas, you're going to have a real skewed way to see the world. And maybe you shouldn't do shows about politics. You kind of don't anyway. You just do shows about drama, which isn't political. But what happens when the drama, in most people's eyes, becomes political? And talking shit and tweeting it and ratioing becomes political action. That's frightening. It's frightening because nothing happens. You're not building anything, you know. It's all some self-flagellation bullshit. Kuba takes off the mask and he's actually an Ewok. Not all disagreements are beefs. Virtuoso, I agree wholeheartedly. Not all disagreements are beefs. You know, I was pretty stoked to talk about 1994 with Chris because um, that's an important year musically for me. It's also kind of an important year for us as a nation as well, right? Deregulation kind of starts as far as taking a lot of the teeth out of Glass-Steagall around 94. Um, we get the crime bill in 94. Cobain dies in 94. Green Day drops Dookie. Right? What happens to this grunge movement that's supposed to be the return of important, heartfelt music? Right? The party is over, metal guys, hair guys. Nobody wants your misogynistic, offensive innuendo videos. It's all about soulful, inward looking drug addicts. And we're going to rename 70s metal and 80s hardcore punk grunge because now we can market it in a way we couldn't before. And it sounds better. Right? But by 94, it's pretty much done. And no one learned the lessons of grunge. Corporate rock sucks. Why are you signed to a major label? That's a mega corporation. Why do you play corporate venues? Why do you have endorsements? Sucks real bad, doesn't it? What was the thing? He read a shirt on the Rolling Stone cover. Corporate rock magazine suck or some corporate magazine suck. Sure. But that magazine made you. Validated your entire life. You thumb your nose at the system while being a part of the system. And then you get what you really wanted. You're headlining the arenas by 94. These records are now all releasing at number one. You're shipping platinum and selling it. MTV darlings. It's hard to say consumerism sucks when you're selling, $30,000 of merchandise a night. I get it though. I get it. We're all, I get it. Really wasn't it wasn't as anti-capitalist and as left as people would like it to believe it was. Because by 94, a lot of stuff goes off the rails for those cats. And then you have this new band that is, to a lot of people, a derivative, right? They just want a punk band. We need a new punk band. This punk thing is the thing. Oh, look at these Green Day fellas. They actually have moved a few units on their own independently. They're legit. They're legitimate. And then you get more commodification of culture. Hip hop by 94 is lifestyle music. It is not dangerous. The Chronic tells you that. NWA's the second record is supposed to be dangerous. F the police. Dun dun dun. They said F the police. They're called N-words with attitudes. I can't even say their name. The abbreviation alone. There's pictures of them with guns. By the time you hear the Chronic, what follows that music? G-Funk, which is literally just a soundtrack to your barbecue. And I'm not saying these are bad things. It's just you can so sell stuff by the time the Chronic hits. It's just made for selling stuff. Lifestyle stuff. And then 94 is around the time hip hop hits the club. Biggie does the One More Chance remix. Oof. Hip hop went in the club. It's still in the club. It's been in the club for like 30 years. I don't know how we're going to get hip hop out of the club. We've been saying last call since about 2005. Not listening. They're just not listening. So, and then you get new metal, which I really was stoked to talk to Chris about because his band Machine Head was looked at as a new metal band. They kind of had a little bit of the look, tonally, right? They're tuned down, which is a newer thing. One finger riffs, as Chris was telling me one day. New sound, but I don't know if they're really new metal in the sense of like a band like Korn, maybe, or the Deftones. Of course, Limp Bizkit. But I was really stoked to talk about 94. We'll have to reschedule. Nature of the Threat by Razkaz is the Hotep Stairway to Heaven. I don't know what the Hoteps. I need to hear that song. Maybe I feel like I do know that song. Is that the one where there's like no hook? And he's just rapping. If that's what it is, then I definitely know that song. I love Razkaz. Razkaz is dope. Did you know Razkaz's dad is a cop? Sean Moon, you love Thomas Frank. Why do you love Thomas Frank so much, Sean Moon? Is it because he's conservative? Conservative with a liberal smile? You love that liberal smile of his? Thomas Frank wrote a book called Liberal Tears Give Me Energy. But yeah, I was really stoked to talk about 94. I think there's a lot we can learn from 94 and look at now when it comes to these kind of commodifications of culture and these ideas that kind of what we're doing are more important than it really is. Charles Miller says, how much of counterculture music was or is done intentionally or just stumbled onto? I don't know. That's actually a really good question. I don't know. I think when you look at something like hardcore punk, I think they really were mad at something. these are the kids that did grow up with Reagan as a governor. Um, even if they were a little younger when he was in office, but definitely they grew up with the aftermath of Reagan in California. Um, I think the Sex Pistols meant something to them. I think that British sound, like the Clash, I think it meant something to them. But I also think these are people that grew up with David Bowie as well. Um, so music is just important. We can only read about it. We don't have MTV and radio. So if you're constantly reading about it, these people are writing about it in this way that makes it seem much larger than life. So, I do I think everybody wanted the same thing out of that LA scene as far as the new wave bands like the Knack, the hardcore bands like who's from LA? Black Flag and the hair guys will become hair guys like Motley Crue. I think they all wanted the same thing. I think they all wanted money, dope, hot chicks, big fancy cars. Like I think they wanted what most people want. Um, they just had different ways to go about it. I think the punk guys crafted a bit of an industry, but an industry that was never going to grow because of the cultures within the music, right? The cultures of deconstruction and the cultures of authenticity really would always make it hard for a lot of outgrowth. Um, I think the new wave guys are the people that just hop on any trend. Not all of them, right? Some people still dig it, but I don't know how many people have been in music or even had like a shitty band that played a couple shows on the weekends or something. But there's always someone that's just trying to figure out what's hot and they get on it. Oh, these big pants are hot right now, and a singer that screams and looks tortured. Okay, that's what I'm gonna do. Oh, rap is hot. Okay, I'm gonna be a rapper right now. Like, there's definitely some shows I've watched where I'm like, I feel like 20 years ago you'd just be trying to be a rapper right now. Like this, the only reason why you're doing this podcast bullshit is because the mixtapes didn't work out the way you thought they would, and this is your next way into some sort of attempt at fame. So I don't know. That's actually, that's. I think a lot of people fall into it, and then it just becomes like a trend. Like we're a political punk band. Oh, what does that mean? We sing about being vegans and people's rights to choose. Oh, that's cool, I guess. And then what? We got a petition. You can sign our petition. And what's the petition going to do? It's a petition to get us on tour with propaganda. Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. Ain't the power. Jason side eyeing the Edgars already. Look, there's some interesting things you can do when you get to a certain point in your fame. Like I think System of a Down and Rage Against the Machine had like a book club type thing. And there was a rapper that was doing it as well. A couple rappers that have done it as well, where they have like they were having book clubs that were sending out kind of like far leftist literature, like revolutionary suicide and Wretched of the Earth and stuff like that to people. That's cool. That's hella cool. That's awesome. But I don't know what much more you want them to do at that point. You want them to just stop playing and I don't know, chain themselves in front of a bulldozer in the rainforest. I don't I don't know. I don't know what people want. their artists to do. These cats didn't get into the business to chain themselves in front of a bulldozer in the rainforest. They got in the business to make music and maybe enlighten someone, maybe make people think. Some people, not everybody, right? But I do think the hardcore punk guys and the hair guys definitely got in for a lot of the same reasons. I think they wanted to get laid. They wanted free booze and dope. There's a through line there. That's what they wanted. And the hair guys became actually really hated because that was looked at as metal when it first starts, not, you know, pop friendly, distorted guitar as it becomes. Like by 87, hair metal to me is done because it's just pop music. As much as I like Whitesnake, who doesn't love those videos? If you are around my age, you grew up seeing Tawny Katane doing cartwheels and splits on two Jaguars, making out with David Coverdale while he's driving. I thought David Coverdale was the luckiest, coolest sumbitch alive watching those videos. So listen to those songs. And instead of Whitesnake, and these guys look alike, put Michael Bolton in there and tell me there's a difference. It's pop music. So much of it was pop music. I mean, by the end of the decade, you get bands like Extreme doing more than words. Now, rock bands have done softer ballads historically. I understand that, right? The power ballad. Tom Warman said this, not on my show, but he said this elsewhere. And definitely read his book. He does a lot of talk about Motley Crue. But he said the Theater of Pain was a horrible record. And he goes, but thank God for Home Sweet Home. I would call myself a Motley Crue fan. I do not wear any shirts, ironically. But if I want to be real honest, it's kind of the singles off after Shout at the Devil, it's just the singles. I'm not listening to Theater of Pain deep cuts. I'm definitely not listening to anything on Girls outside of Wild Side. They covered Jailhouse Rock at the end that album to make it 8 songs. The metal aspect of hair metal was done after 84. Would you call Wasp a hair metal band? They're the only ones that kind of stayed doing metal. But that shit's 70s rock. It's 70s rock with 80s equipment and, you know, people with big hair. Again, by 87, after Poison, everybody that comes in is just making pop music. A lot of times, the entire band isn't playing on the record. Like, that's how crazy it is. That the band isn't even playing on the record. There's studio musicians in there. So that shit's over. And the nail in the coffin for that genre, in my opinion, is not Seattle. It is Guns N' Roses and LA Guns. All those younger dudes that didn't need all of the over the top hair and makeup. They didn't need all the songwriters. And you couldn't really classify that music as metal. Damn, Budding says Wasp had 0 talent. Woof. Budding says White Lion is amazing. Vito Bratta is a phenomenal guitar player. Was. I believe he stopped playing to take care of a family member, I believe, a sick family member. And man, love the solo on Wait. But go back and listen to Wait. Just go back and listen to it. That's a pop song. It's a great pop song. It's a great pop song. But if it didn't get played on Headbangers Ball, it's just a regular ass pop song with dudes with long hair. That could be in any 80s movie soundtrack from any band. Again, not to say that I don't like that song. I just have to acknowledge that that's not metal. There's nothing metal about it. Belfast rap. Nuri wants me to listen to Belfast rap. I'm down to listen to that. Can I understand what they're saying, or will I need subtitles? I'm not gonna lie, man. The only hair metal band I actually like is early period Manic Street Preachers. Were they a hair metal band, Dusty? I don't know that. Why Van Hagar formed. You guys leave Van Halen out of this. I've already went on my Van Halen tirade before. Someone wrote a whole story. Jason, by the end of the 80s, these bands that hardly broke in were already doing power ballads, acting like they've been through so much for so many years. At that point, just copying off each other. Yes. 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 That's why it didn't last very long. If you really think about it, for me, the first hair record is Blizzard of Oz, the first two Ozzy records, because Randy Rhoads wrote those riffs when some of those riffs when he was in Quiet Riot. If Quiet Riot, there's two bands for me that really give you the sonic qualities of what this stuff is, and that's Quiet Riot and Van Halen. Quiet Riot was doing rock stuff when nobody cared. They got a really crap record deal where they were only signed to like Sony or Universal. I forget which, but they're like a Japanese division of some label. So they weren't even getting distributed in California, even in nowhere in the United States. Good luck. Maybe you can find that stuff on Spotify. I don't even think you can find it on Spotify. Those first two Quiet Riot records. But Randy Rhoads and Eddie Van Halen are kind of the architects of the genre. And Van Halen's an important figure because David Lee Roth is Robert Plant on a 5-day coke bender that just boofed a bunch of meth. David Lee Roth can't sing anywhere near as good as Robert Plant, and I'm sure he would acknowledge that. But he is the entertaining frontman to this awesome group of musicians. That need a pretty boy out front, and David Lee Roth is like the best pretty boy. That's why people look for the blonde. We need a blonde pretty boy. We need a pretty boy out front. It's going to do pretty boy stuff. Why do you think Quiet Riot hits in 83 before MTV is really a thing? And they don't really hit again. Kevin Dubrow was balding in 83. He could sing for that kind of music. He could sing. The late Kevin Dubrow, rest in peace. But, you know, was he a looker? In the era of lookers, those guys didn't wear makeup. They're not everything that we think about hair metal. Those guys didn't really do because it wasn't even a thing yet. Motley Crue make it a thing. They're all about spectacle. They're all about Alice Cooper. The punk guys, right? We're going to take some from the punk guys. We're going to take some of the Spike stuff from the punk guys. We're going to take a lot from Alice Cooper. It's just spectacle at this point from these from the death rock guys. We're going to take a little bit of everything, throw it in a pot, play some okay 70s rock over it with a little bit of a punky attitude. I mean, shout at the devil. To write this piece, I went back and watched a bunch of old Motley Crue interviews, which are hilarious, by the way. And there's a pentagram on the record. It's just a pentagram. It's the name of the band, the name of the record, and a big ass pentagram. Little Jason thought that was the most evil, dangerous thing in the world. Adult Jason thinks it's hilarious, especially because a guy like Nikki Sixx understood this is just going to get people's goat. It's going to get them all fucking fired up. They're going to go buy the record, turn it around, and there's like fire behind them, and they look like extras from, Thunderdome and shit. That's not an evil record at all. There's nothing scary on it. And then when they would face criticism about being demonic, they'd go, "No, man, you got it wrong. We're not saying shout with the devil. We're saying shout at the devil. We're shouting devil down. We're anti-devil." And he has a Christian group. You know what you're telling me, Nikki Sixx? The fuck is going on here, brother? None of those guys embraced a lot of the crazy shit. Like you look at what Wasp was doing. Blackie Lawless is throwing literal meat into the crowd. And that's unnecessary and gross. And I'm sure you can probably get sick. But, spectacle. How am I going to get people out there? Got to do the wild shit. Come to the Wasp show. There's some wild shit going on at the Wasp show. I get it. And it worked. Those guys got deals. They sold records. In Motley Crue's case, they sold a ton of records. Jesus. But they had a look, and they were made for this new thing called music television. They weren't that offensive. They were just offensive enough. Even MT was scared of Girls on Film by Duran Duran. They were like, "Ooh, that's a bit much, Duran. But Looks That Kill, they had no problem with that shit. It's like a little mini movie. Too Young to Fall in Love? Oh, right? Love that. And then by the time you get to the Smoking in the Boys Room days, then it's like they're like cartoon movies almost. Home Sweet Home? Oh, dude. Made for that shit. And then you get the copycats. That's what it's about. If someone gets successful, people will copy. That's just what it is. We need a blonde guy. Get a blonde guy. Get a Bret Michaels looking blonde guy. We need our fourth generation Robert Plant, David Lee Roth wannabe. We need to get our guitar virtuoso guy. And then, hopefully we'll get a deal. But again, by 87, that music was done. And then Guns N' Roses just puts a massive nail in that coffin. And then to some degree, if you want to say that something killed something, I think by the Use Your Illusion era Guns N' Roses dealing with Nirvana at the MTV Music Awards really lets you know that even that music is done. Because you're acting like a rock star to the anti-rock stars, allegedly. And you're fighting with Kurt Cobain, who's this young up-and-coming fellow that we think you should be friends with. there's these moments where you can say, "Oh yeah, that's a nail in the coffin for that." But I don't think that it smells like Teen Spirit on its own is the end. That stuff was on its way out, and I don't know too many people. I don't see too many young people going, "I'm trying to start a grunge band." Yikes! It's it's not really a good word. I don't think. Tell me if I'm wrong. I don't know. I don't see too many people going, "Let's get a grunge thing going. Let's get a grunge thing going." Big Jarl guys. I'm gonna read some of these comments. When I saw L7, the cat butt guys kept running the dry ice machine. I was one of the last people watching them until I had to go outside for air. Who are the cat butt guys? What is the cat butt guys? Is that a band? I'm so scared. Kip Winger does prog now. Dude, go back and listen to Winger stuff. It was kind of proggy. Go back and listen to 17. Listen to Headed for a Heart. Was it Heartache or Heartbreak? Because I get them and Def Leppard confused. They're a little proggy. And those guys are like amazing musicians. Did the crew wear high heel boots in the Looks That Kill video? Yes, they did. Odin! 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 Thank you so much, Mark Owen. There's a really good documentary series. I disagree with some parts of it, but I think it was put together real well. It's a 3-part series. It's called Nothing But a Good Time, which kind of was the impetus for me to write this very long thing. It's like 3,000 words in right now. And there's a documentary that came out in 87 from the woman that did Wayne's World, Penelope Spears, called Decline of the Western Civilization Part 2, The Metal Years. She did one in the 81, I think, about hardcore punk, which is really interesting. When it gets re-released, I did do a video essay on pretty much the mini book I wrote, where I do actually have some interesting clips from the first Decline of Western Civilization. I think when she sees the 80s scene, she's a little blown away by the frivolity of it. And in both documentaries, she does interview young people that are part of the scene that aren't necessarily musicians. But by the 80s, everybody is outside of the young ladies, which she also tries to portray as well in Decline of Western Civilization, is trying to be a part of the thing. They want to be in a band and they're all going to make it. And you ask them why they're going to make it, because they want it. There was only one person that they interviewed that actually says, "You got to come hear us play. If you hear us play, you'll know why we're going to make it. We're so good." Everyone else just said they were going to make it. Why? Because determination. What? Like, are you any good? What do you say? Like, what do you do? I don't understand why you're going to make it. Just because you want to make it? We're all going to make it. And they're all just trying to do whatever they've read about in the magazine. So if they read about the Motley Crue guys or the GNR guys getting propped up by strippers, well, these guys are all lying and saying that strippers take care of them too. I think it's a fascinating documentary. It's also hilarious, where Ozzy Osbourne talks about being sober and he can't pour orange juice into a glass because he's so fucked up. And Chris Holmes, formerly of Wasp. Chris Holmes, also major proponent of socialized healthcare. Didn't look that one up. But Chris Holmes is just this guy. He's a guitar player and he's just effed up. And he wants to do his scene in a pool. I don't even believe it's not his house. And he's just drinking bottles of vodka and kind of talking about why He's such an alcoholic. It's kind of sad, and for a lot of people, it was a bit of a sobering moment of the scene. But for me, what was more sobering of the scene was this one band that's an up and coming band at the time called Odin, and they're supposed to be the next big thing because they got a pretty boy singer that all the girls like, and they got the guitar virtuoso guy. They got the songs. They got the attitude. We got the attitude, and they're in a hot tub. And the singer, the pretty boy singer, he's got to make it. And he's like, if I don't make it, I'm probably gonna kill myself. His bandmates are like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, yeah, I've tried. And his bandmates are like, when did you try to kill yourself? And he goes, well, I like OD'd a couple times. And right there for me, it's like, you want to see the charade of this bullshit? Here it is right here. This dude is telling you. And by the way, they didn't make it. Did not make it. And he's still alive. Doing well. As not a rock star. Most likely living his life in anonymity. In Amityville. But yeah, check that out. It's actually pretty funny. What happens if you don't make it? That's my favorite part. What happens if you don't make it? And then you have to ask yourself this question: what is making it? And that's the uncomfortable question that no one wants to answer. Because what did you want when you were, in front of your mirror as a little kid? Like, I can honestly say this. As a dude with, I think I got $20 in my checking account right now. Maybe 27. I have $27 in my checking account. I can say I made it. Because when I was a little kid, listening to music like everybody else, lip syncing to MTV, rocking out with a fake guitar to Guns N' Roses, Paradise City video, jumping off my bed like it was a stage, jumping onto it like I was crowd surfing. I got to do all those things in various parts of the world. People that I admired musically, people that when I was a little kid, watching their videos, right? Lip syncing and air guitar into these videos. I got to know these people. They got to know me and like what I was doing musically or what I do musically. They've helped me in various ways. But that is enough. And it was really hard for me to admit that, oh, I guess I did get what I wanted when I was a little kid. I just wanted to be able to do those things. I got to do them at a quote unquote real level. I got to get written up in all the magazines, blogs, whatever they were at the time, in various parts of the world. So after that, do you just want money? And that was my thing. I just wanted money. I just wanted to be financially successful. I just didn't want to have to struggle. And if that's making it, then maybe that's a little different. Even with this, I kind of get to do what I want to do. I get to talk to whoever the fuck I want to talk to. There's no one telling me, maybe this guest isn't good for you. I mean, we definitely sometimes, if I'm not sure about a guest, I definitely pass along. You guys think we should talk to this person? But overall, I've gotten to talk to through this show and meet people that I've admired their work or I've been like a fan. Like again, the music stuff. There's people I'm literally a fan of that are coming on this show. That's cool to me. That's enough. I would like more than $27 in my bank account. That would be awesome. But realistically, I don't know. I would appreciate a few more people watching the show, but if not, if everything stopped and there was no growth, knock on wood, and everything just stayed where it is now, that'd be cool. I'd still struggle. I'd still not be able to have a savings account or healthcare. But work wise, I'm able to do what I want to do. So that's making it. So I can honestly say I made it. Being a household name wasn't necessarily what I wanted. So, on that note, I'm going to read some more of your comments because you guys are really fucking funny. Um, oh my God, Donald James. You're going to Aftershock? Ugh. Everybody's there. My friends are all there, having a good time. I wouldn't be surprised if Chris is there right now. Oh wow, Donald James, you're so mean. Um, let's see. You guys are talking to each other. See, that's awesome too. You guys are talking to each other. Yeah, Chris Holmes did drop. When Chris Holmes drinks like this whole bottle of vodka like this, and then there's just bottles around him in the pool, and you're like, that man has no liver. Oh my God. But he lives in France now with his French wife and is a massive proponent of socialized medicine because he had a cancer scare. And he was so blown away by the treatment in France. He was like, why doesn't everybody have this? You know what, Kushlik? I wish I could play clips too. And there's part of me that doesn't mind playing them and get YouTube to pull the thing down because I'm just not in the greatest of moods. Maybe I should do that. But I was really hurt that even in our unposted the champagne room stream, they pulled down the movie we were watching, which is free on YouTube. So I'm sorry about that. We had the double whammy last Thursday. Pascal accidentally ended the stream. And then YouTube pulls it down when we're watching the disco cop lady and her disco boyfriend go visit her brother in the hospital because that would be the outfit I wear to go visit my family member when I find out they've just been attacked by a ninja. Quickly to the hospital, but first, disco attire. If you saw Iron Maiden's Peace of Mind tour, you're an O fucking G. Kin, by the way. O fucking G, if you saw that. What's your favorite Iron Maiden record, everybody? Quickly. Is it Peace of Mind? What is it? Power Slave? Quickly. Want to know? My mother is here. I do know it's the boy's birthday. I have 3 sons, but I have 2 older ones from my first marriage. And they are now 18 and 21. They are 3 years and a day apart. And yes, I did. I messaged them both. I will probably get a message back. Thanks, Dad. That's all I get. Number of the Beast, great record. Great record, Mark Owen. Number of the Beast is winning. It's a great record. We should play music again in the Champagne Room. Sometimes we can get away with that. Let's try that one day. I wish we could play more music. That'd be more fun. But look, I'm going to take off. Thank you guys for hanging out with me for the little bit that you hung out with me for. I'm going to change the title of this show. I'm sure I'll hear from Chris a little bit later. I'm sure we'll reschedule. Not worried about it. It's after. I'm blaming Aftershock for this. I'm blaming Aftershock and Slayer. Slayer, it's your fault. And then I can't be too mad because I have so many Slayer guitar parts from Greg Day, who works on Gary Holt, and I think he does some Kerry King stuff too. But I can't get mad at Slayer. Slayer is, I need new pickups for this thing. Oh, don't worry, I got some of Kerry King's leftovers. Slayer and Rancid, actually. Oh, I love it. Hashtag blame Slayer. There you go. Blame Slayer. That's what. Come on, dude. And I think Biohazard is there too. And Chris is real tight. I believe because Chris is playing Forbidden now, and I want to say they put on some big show in Berkeley earlier this year, and they had Biohazard come through and play because they played a festival with them together, and again they've known each other for years. So I think Machine Head might have even done a tour with Biohazard early on. And again, Chris's big first tour with Machine Head was opening for Slayer. So, and everybody knows Gary and Paul because they're Bay Area guys. Paul was also the original drummer of Forbidden. So, and there's other friends we know that work for other bands, and you go to Aftershock when you're at that level because it's going to be a big homie reunion for you. So again, he was duding. He's duding with the dudes. I'm jealous. I'd like the dude with the dudes. This means if Jason ends, I have to read more of these fucking books. It's like shitting out small, sharp stones. Kushlook, I do want to let you know I went and I purchased 2 Spanish language books. So I'm going to try to read them. Look at my mom. My mom's over here assuming I'm talking crap. I'm not talking crap about you. Mother. But yeah, thank you guys. Ken said he saw Maiden at the Philadelphia Spectrum when he was 13. Ken, did you know Cinderella back in the day, since you're from the Philadelphia area? No. I can pay attention to wifey when Jason ends up. Okay, I'll end the show. I don't want people to get yelled at by their wife. It's still relatively early. I think it's a nice day outside. Everything's black in my room. Take that however you want. And I will see you guys Tuesday. Maybe sooner, but most likely Tuesday. And if you are in the LA area, come out to this event. Ben wrote a mini essay where they basically published a bunch of essays he had written about Palestine, and he wrote a new foreword to it. It's out on Everyday Analysis now. He is attempting to outsell me. Zizek is attempting to outsell me. He wrote another one. Right? But it's I don't want to say it's going to be fun. It's a discussion about Palestine that's never a light topic. But it would be nice to see a lot of people's faces, right? Put a face to the name. Um, so I will put a link in the comments. I believe on the show I did with Ben is Sean Fain and Light in the Darkness. There's definitely links to get tickets there. And also, if you are a patron of TIR, I posted it on the TIR Patreon. There is a discount code to get, I think it's 25% off for tickets as well. And tickets aren't that much. I think they're like $5. It should be, after the conversation, we'll probably do some after show hangs as we always do. So I'm excited for it. I look forward to seeing a lot of you guys there. Sean Moon, if you post one more thing for Thomas Frank and I find out you are not on his payroll, I will walk to wherever you're from and wag my finger at you thusly. How dare you? How dare you? Nuri says, come see Jason and Ben take their right turn. That is when we take our Scooby-Doo masks off and we're like, we don't know why these brown people are so mad at the good people of Israel. That's how you know. Can you be a Rosarito in late November? Well, you got to hit me up, Broham. It's still nice around here late November. And we all know Sean Moon is secretly Thomas Frank. Like, if you're not Thomas Frank, then you need to stop working for free. He'll be in El Cerrito in November. Why? For those that don't know, that's a city near where I'm from in Richmond, California. That's weird. Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. Let's do something that I never do that I'm definitely going to get people mad at. Let's play some heavy music. Yeah.
Russia was the Union of Soviet Socialist
Right.
Republics. And they'd say, oh, but aren't you so glad that you're in America? I said, well, I know a lot of Russian filmmakers. They have a lot more freedom than I have. All they have to do is be careful about criticizing the government.